एक बार सोचा कि चेक कर देते कभी लेक्चर कैंसिल हो जाते हैं तो चेक किया तब मुझे पता चला कि शिट आउट है दो लेक्चर याद है कहाँ तक सिखाया ना अरे हम तो आपसे मैंने आपको मार्क करके रखा है लेकिन मुझे नहीं लगता कि हमने आगे सिखाया होगा इसके आगे के लिए उठना तो मेरे देखो मैंने लास्ट देखा मैंने कॉम्प्लेक्स कोऑर्डिनेट इश्यूज अरे हाँ उसके बाद में आप गाँव गए थे उसके बाद में तो हमारी छुट्टियां थी उसके बाद में मैं बायोलॉजी ग्रुप का नाम मैंने देखा ऐसे लिखा है कितना ही लिखा मैंने खाली देखो ना खाली ये टॉपिक मैंने हेडिंग लिखा है फिर पीछे सोचा था बाद में लिख दिया तो मुझे सिखाया था आपने कभी याद समझ मैंने यहाँ पे क्रॉप प्रोडक्शन लिख के छोड़ दिया क्रॉप प्रोडक्शन 92 पेज I never been a moderator support. क्या होगा था ना पता नहीं है ना नहीं हो गया था यार क्यों मैथ्स तो रखते थे सर का कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होती वो तो फाइनली भी आएगा आगे देखिए काव्य तो लेके आती है उसको कुछ पता नहीं वो शायद नहीं आएगी हाँ वो भी शायद नहीं आएगी श्राव्य आता पता नहीं कोई भी यार मुझे पता नहीं कितना हो रहा है है ना वो बात ही नहीं उसको मेरा वापस से 12 का ही एक्स्ट्रा लेक्चर है भाई का एक्स्ट्रा लेक्चर कौन सा है इश्यूज खाली मुझे भाषा में क्या इश्यूज हैंडल हो रहा है उसमें खबर ना बोलना तो रानी डाटा उसको तो मैंने मुझे बात की एंड नाउ मुझे ऑलमोस्ट मैं एक्सीडेंट एक दिन एक्सीडेंट सारे दिन आई उसके मैम 4-5 दिन आई थी एक का लेक्चर था स्टिल नहीं आई थी प्रॉक्सी लगी हुई थी एंड वो प्रॉक्सी नहीं लगी हुई थी कोई आएगा नहीं यस आयो है कौन आएगा hello hi Shiny the good girl क्यों I don't know the word of this and you are not no the girl would never gossip वो घर जाते सोते वक्त इसने भगवान से प्रे करती है कौन तू You don't know मैं इस शरीर में कैसे भगवान से प्रार्थना करती हूँ तो मतलब हाँ मेरे साइड पर क्या हो रहा है जिन्हें मैं मेरी आज काम है प्लीज आप आशीर्वाद अरे ऐसे वो वर्ड है बीच में वैसे करती हूँ गाइडेंस थ्योरी समझती है ना तू आज थी ना आज आज भी कर आज क्या करता है आज लंचों में मतलब मैं एक हफ्ते पहले मंडे से लेकर मतलब एक हफ्ता मैं ग्राउंड मतलब स्कूल में एक्टिव हूँ बैच क्लासेस चल रही मैं मिनी क्लास में मतलब आता होता है उसे अटेंडेंस वही उनका कैसे करेगा हमारे साथ का पढ़ने का मैं उसमें शामिल नहीं हुआ मेरे से बोला कि नहीं बचती वो लोग फिर जाते हैं ठीक है उन्हें थोड़ा सा
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
I think we all forgot what we are studying, no? Which chapter, which part of the chapter we are studying that? I think you all have marked that part. Do you remember? Take out crop protection and something was it. Who needed an extra lecture? What happened?
Tissues and my exams.
Tissues, that is the entire chapter you missed.
No, I need the animal tissues part.
Animal tissues, 4 types of tissues. There will be an extra lecture. I'll take it here only. I'll give them some revision because this part will not take much time. We are finishing only crop protection. I think that part we had been discussing. No? So this chapter there's nothing to understand. It's only.
The last thing we did was the broiler and egg production.
So we had actually started discussing animal husbandry. So this little bit only was left from this chapter. So look into animal husbandry, that is animal husbandry, cattle farming did we do? Check.
Yes.
Cattle farming did we do? Look into your book.
Yes.
I think something you must have
start from management practices. So the last thing was the egg and broiler production.
Because if you have marked, then you remember. Because I remember here I was discussing animal husbandry. That was the last topic that we were discussing. Now cattle farming. You're okay with this part? Did you all? Is this chapter getting done in school now?
No.
Not yet started. So. Very soon maybe we'll start because this is a very long chapter also. At the same time, you'll have to read this a number of times. There's nothing, concepts, kuch bhi nahi hai isme. You'll have to just read. Certain things I'm telling you, this is important, that is important, which generally comes in the exam. Read majorly from here, so you'll be able to understand points to answer. Textbook you read, but from the textbook, if your school is giving you some question answer notes etc, then that is different, but otherwise if they are just putting it on you to answer questions etc, read on your own, read from here, you'll be able to write points specific. Okay, so see there for cattle farming, I'll just go through, then we go to poultry again. Cattle farming, if you see there, what is important, you are asked what is the main purpose of cattle farming, so that is there one. Then farm management practice. What is the main purpose of cattle farming? You have to write points like farming of cattle is done for certain type of main purpose is production of the milk. That is a main purpose. And on top of that, the male cattle are always used in the fields. No, in the fields, agricultural lands for the process of tilling and ploughing for all these purposes. So these are the points to mention. Then the cattle breed, that's another thing which is asked. Name the breeds of the cattle. So breeds of the cattle, when we are talking about, two things are there. What are indigenous breeds and what are exotic breeds? Indigenous breeds, what is the meaning of indigenous breeds? Breeds of our country, native. So if it is the cattle, what is the native breed of our country? Two names you'll have to remember, Bos buvalis and Bos indicus. These names you'll have to remember. This will be asked in the exam. Bos indicus, Bos buvalis, that is the Indian cow and the Indian buffaloes. Indian cow, Indian buffaloes. What are their names? Or else sometimes straight away you'll be asked questions, give the scientific name of the Indian cow. So you're writing Bos indicus that. So that part, and then farm management practices. See there, the management of the farm. What type of measures to be taken if it is if an animal breeder has to take care of the cattle? What type of a farm he can set up? What type of a farm he'll set up? The land should be a little bit slant. The shed where the animals are kept. The floor should be a little bit slant. There should be proper drainage. There should be adequate sunlight. The entire environment should be dry, to prevent microbial growth, fungal growth, because if there is adequate microbial or fungal growth, then the products of the animals, that is the milk, etc., are also getting contaminated, so that has to be avoided. So that is there. So see, those points are there. It should be protect the animal from heat, cold, so excessive heat, cold, rain, that has to be protected. Clean and dry, proper sunlight should be there. A sloping floor, that's very important to mention. There's a sloping floor because these animals defecate, urinate, and that has to be clearly disposed of, very easily disposed of. Next important thing is the food requirement. We generally feel that if it is cattle has to be given grass. No, plant food, straight away plants to give. No, but if you're talking about good quality milk, now the milk producing industries, now that the cattle feed is not only the grasses, not only the green leaves. Along with grasses, so many other different type of nutrients has to be given to them. Then only the milk that is produced is nutritive. So that is what we are talking about. At the same time, the cattle which are to be used in the farm, the male ones, the ones which are to be used in the farm, they need not be given the same type of a diet to the female cattle, meaning the diet for the meal for the female and the male cattle also not the same, because the female ones, they are the milk producers, and at the same time they have to give rise to the calf also. But the male ones are basically used in the farm, so they need to strengthen their muscles, so the feed also is different, that's why. So see, those concepts you'll have to remember. Roughage and concentrate. What is the meaning of this? Roughage, basically fiber-rich food should be given to them, and this is basically given to the drought varieties. Two more words you'll have to come across: the milch and the drought varieties. Check there; it is there in the first part of the paragraph. Milch and drought varieties. Did you see? The milch varieties. What are these? Milch varieties means the milk yielding ones, the milk producing cattle, and drought varieties means the male cattle used in the farms. Okay, and labor for carrying loads and ploughing, etc. So what type of feed is given to the drought varieties? Roughage. And what type of feed is given to the milch varieties? Concentrates. So what is concentrates? A type of a meal which consists of different components, which should be rich in minerals, which should be rich in vitamin, which should have adequate amount of fats, carbohydrate little bit, protein little bit. But if I talk about the roughage is majorly proteins, which should increase the muscle mass, not necessarily too much of vitamin, mineral, not needed. See there, roughage, what does it contain? Hay, different type of fibers are there, then the fodder, the silage, the legumes, etc. And concentrates, if you see that these are high levels of proteins and vitamin, minerals, so much is required. Underline, we have to mixture of, these are basically mixture of cereals, barley, different type of grains. Just now, as I mentioned, that the concentrate generally goes to the female cattle because they are to produce milk, and they should be given feed rich in minerals, vitamins, and protein. So tick those concepts, roughage and concentrate. What is the word ration? Ration is a specific meal that is given to them. For example, our meals also have got names, right? The breakfast, lunch, dinner. So for our meal also there's a name. Same like that, the meal which is given to the cattle also has got a name. What is the name? Ration. So what is the meaning of the word ration? A specific amount of food given to them which contains desirable amounts of carbohydrate, roughage, protein, fat, etc. That is called the ration. What is the meaning of additives? Now, for example, say when we talk about ourselves, we eat food rich in carbohydrates. No? We may be eating food which is the staple food. If I talk about maybe roti and then sabji and then dal, pulses are always a common ingredient, common item in our food, and then some vegetables and then some nuts. But apart from that also, apart from the general meal, which includes rice and vegetables and the different type of food items and milk and milk products, etc. Apart from that, do we eat anything extra which, if not eaten, or that is not a major component of the food? For example, sometimes we eat dry fruits also. Some people would be consuming some extra sources of calcium also, or some health tonics also. Now that you all are in the stages of growth, you must be drinking some health drinks also, some protein drinks also. But is that the daily food? Is that the basic food? No, that is not the basic food, but that is apart from the basic food taken. Why? Why? I mean, dry fruits if you don't consume, the health drinks if you don't consume, this protein powder and etc., that also so many people take extra apart from the meal. Why? So that if there is any type of a deficiency there left in the meal that we consume, that can be balanced, that can be maintained. And as it is, the fruits and the dry fruits have got a lot of minerals and vitamins, so not allowing any deficiency happen in the body. So that is the idea. Is that concept there for the animals also? Yes, animals also, the grains and the grasses and all these which is given, not necessarily all the nutrients are balanced. So in case there's a deficiency, to fill in that gap, additives are also given to them. Now what does these additives contain? Additives again will contain some extra amount of mineral, vitamin, and on top of that, additives will also contain certain type of substances given to them which will prevent them from diseases. Now, these cattle cannot be given so much of the fruits and nuts like we can consume, but they can be given some extra chemical substances in the form of injections and etc. And vaccination is also a part of it. Does the cattle also suffer from different type of bacterial, fungal, viral infections like we human do? Yes, variety of them, and quite a number of them are quite common also between human and cattle. If you talk about the tuberculosis, if you talk about the pneumonia, so many different types of skin rashes disorders are almost common like what humans suffer. So that's the reason vaccination is a concept which is applicable even for cattle. So that concept to remember. Cattle diseases, see there, what are the most common ones? 3 categories. Cattle suffer from parasitic diseases, bacterial and fungal. Look into parasitic diseases. There are parasites, 2 types of parasites that can infect the cattle. What are the 2 types? External, internal parasites. What is the meaning? External parasites like those fleas and ticks which are on the body hair, on the outer surface of the body. This is external parasites. Can you give me one example of an internal parasite if at all you have come across? Ringworm, no, that is also external and that is not a parasite at all. Tapeworm, correct. So when we are talking about ringworm is a fungal infection. So when we are talking about the tapeworm, the roundworm, this enters the body, grows in the intestine or the liver or the muscle. So that becomes internal parasite. The parasite is growing inside the body of that host. But if it is the ticks and the fleas and the mites, And the lice, of course, the animals doesn't suffer much. So now these are the organisms which survive on the outer surface of the body. That is the external parasite. Now we talk about poultry farming. Similarly, this is how you'll have to study. Poultry farming, what are the breeds? Is there anything to study about farm management that you'll have to check? Then what is the concept of, what are the types of the poultry that you'll have to understand? So now when we are talking about the poultry farming, see there. Poultry farming, see there, the main aims. Poultry farming, when we are talking about there also, there is a concept of indigenous and exotic breeds. Indigenous breeds meaning the Indian breeds, classical, original Indian breeds. So what is the Indian breed? Those brown feathered birds. That is known as asil. The biological names you have to remember. Asil, that is those brown feathered birds, these are known as asil. And what about the white feathered birds? These are known as the leghorns. The leghorns are the exotic varieties, and asil, the Indian varieties. Okay. So now, when we are talking about the poultry, now in this concept of poultry comes in two major groups. What are the two major groups? Layers and broilers. So that part you'll have to go through nice. Layers, and layers from the word egg laying. So when we are talking about the layers and the broilers, you have to just come across that if it is the layers, these are those type of birds which mature faster and egg laying starts at a very early age. But how is it happening? Because these type of birds are given a specific type of a feed. The type of feed given to them again is different, almost like those the concentrates for the cattle. So the poultry which are cultured, meaning which are grown. Now the poultry that are grown, we are majorly talking about an industry. We are not talking about naturally how they grow. Naturally how they grow, that is what we are not studying, remember. You may at times feel that how come the growth, the birds which are growing naturally, how they get this type of nutrients. No, here we are talking about that. What are feeling cold? You are feeling cold? Yes. You are also feeling cold? Huh? Is it? What, put the temperature a little bit high? Okay. So now let's see if it is still cool, then we'll put the temperature. Okay, so now what I'm saying is that in this part, the two major types, you'll be asked write differences between layers and broilers. Layers again are those brown feather birds which are effective in egg laying much faster. So by the time these small birds hatch out, and in few weeks time they grow and mature, and in few months now they have, in just a few weeks to a couple of months, now they are mature. So these birds are now ready for laying eggs. So in this industry of poultry farming, the birds which are maintained and grown for egg laying, a different type of a feed is given to them right from the time they hatch out from the eggs. And the other set of birds, that is the poultry, where the concentration is, focuses on to make the birds grow bigger and fleshy so that they can be marketed for flesh. That is the broilers. Now for them, the type of the feed given again is different so that they can only increase their muscle mass. But is it that they don't lay eggs? No, they lay eggs, but then they lay much lesser. The eggs may not be that nutritive. So the eggs which are available commercially, that's the reason they all don't have the same quantity of protein, mineral, vitamin, etc. Because the certain type of eggs are unfertilized, some are actually fertilized eggs. Some other eggs which are obtained from the layers and which are the very good quality eggs. And the some which are there which are obtained from the broilers, because the nutrient given to the broiler always is to increase the, meaning these are protein rich, roughage rich, fiber rich nutrients given to them. So the eggs produced by this may not be that nutritive, but they, of course, they also produce eggs. But the broilers are very good in the muscle, the weight. The weight. If I talk about maybe now 3-month-old the layers, 3-month, 4-month-old layer and broiler, the broiler will be much heavier in their weight. So a 4-5-month-old broiler may weigh almost about 5-6 kgs, minimum 4-5 kgs. Whereas in case when we are talking about the layers will be much lesser in their weight because their nutrients does not allow them increase body muscle, but help in the production of the eggs in large numbers. So then when we are talking about the poultry farming, so this is there, the first one. Now, management practices, nothing very difficult here to understand. Management practices, how should the shed be, and etc. That is there. Diseases, they also suffer from different type of diseases. Is there vaccination? Are the poultry vaccinated? Yes, they are also vaccinated so that the poultry generally suffer from various different type of viral infection, fungal, viral, and parasites definitely on their feathers, etc. So they also need to be vaccinated from time to time. Discuss this question there, look into this, discuss the implications, etc., that particular question. Now, what is this question? Take that question, you'll read this later. Let me just give you the summary there. Read this question, try to go through the points properly so that you can frame a 2-mark answer nice. The question says that this poultry are always consuming food which is not very expensive, but the product that they give rise to is so nutritive. The eggs that the poultry give rise to is supposed to be a wholesome food. So much of nutrients, so much of protein, adequate amount of fat also, mineral, vitamin sufficient. So it is considered to be a wholesome food. At the same time, the flesh also a rich source of protein, fiber, etc. But then the typical meal of a poultry is what? The typical meal of a poultry is just few grains, broken, crushed bones, the rice bran. Are these food items very costly? No, these are not costly at all. In comparison, if you have to talk about the maintenance of the horses and etc., it is much more expensive. So the maintenance of poultry is not very expensive, but then the products that they give rise to is so very nutritive. So this is a question that the poultry is a type of a converter of cheap food to very good nutritive products. No? So if you get this question, explain. So this is what you have to write. And then see the difference between layers and broilers. This table, check properly. I already told you the points. Layers and broilers, what are their differences? Pisciculture, underline the definition. Pisciculture, the word pisciculture. Now, what is the meaning of pisciculture? It is a, just like we were talking about cattle farming and poultry farming, pisciculture is a scientific method of growing, culturing, taking care, and breeding of any type of aquatic organisms, not only the fishes, any type of aquatic organisms, all over. So in the water body, whatever different type of aquatic organisms are there, the scientific approach of breeding, feeding, taking care, growing them, increasing the yield, and protecting them, this entire concept is known as pisciculture. Here, two things are very important. Mark that, 2 types of fish farming. That's important. 2 types of fish farming. One is, underline those words, capture and culture fishery. Can you see that? 2 types of fish farming, capture farming, culture farming. Now, what is the meaning capture farming, culture farming? Capture farming means when a farmer, meaning when a fish breeder, the fisherman, in common words, the fisherman. Now, this fisherman there are a whole lot of fishermen who would every day visit the sea and the ocean. And they have a territory in the sea and the ocean. They have a marked area in the sea and the ocean where from time to time they will go with the help of their boats, etc. They will go, spread some fish eggs there. And now that they have put those fish eggs, what will happen? They will monitor the growth of those fish eggs. Sharat, remote there. So now, when we are talking about that capture fishery, culture fishery. So capture fishery, what is the meaning? Capture fishery means that this fisherman, what they will do is, this fisherman, what they will put it off. Let us see if it is too cold. Then also if it feels cold, we put it off. Now, when we are talking about capture fishery, first of all, we talk about capture fishery. What is the meaning of capture fishery? In the sea, in the ocean. Now, the sea and the ocean fishes are generally, this is the method of growing them, that is capture fishery, meaning the fishermen would every time visit their own territory, assigned areas are given in the water body, and from time to time they visit that area, spread those, drop those fish eggs there. And those fish eggs from time to time again has to be monitored how they are growing. And how they will notice how whether the number of eggs are increasing, decreasing, where they are growing, how do they locate? With the help of some devices, machines are there. One of the most common machines are the echo sounders. Echo sounders are a most common type of a machine which gives them a very clear idea that the fishes are growing there. So nowadays they use satellites also, various different type of machines are used. Satellites are there, echo sounders are there. So with the help of those machines, in their boats, in their steamers, they can identify the region where the fishes are growing, and from time to time they will give the feed and the nutritive substances also in the water. And then when the fishes are almost grown fully and can be marketed, ready for to be sold in the market, then they will be captured from there. That's the reason the name capture fishery. So if the fishes are grown in their natural habitat in a period of 5-6 months, and there are a lot of procedures that the farmers would, the fish breeders would practice. If that is the method, capture fishery. But now, if I talk about the river fishes, it's difficult to grow in those fish growing in the river running waters. It's difficult. So most of these river fishes, the lake fishes, river fishes, are grown in some artificial setup. So these fish breeders or the farmers, what they will do is they will make some artificial lake or an artificial pond-like setup. The quality of the water should be more or less like the pond, like the river, like the lake. And in that artificial setup, now they will put the eggs and then allow the fishes grow. So in the first set of tanks, now that the fishes have grown a little bit, immediately they will just capture them and throw them in another set of tanks. In the second tank, a different type of a nutrient and hormone given in the second tank so that the growth becomes much faster. So likewise, there are some series of tanks, and then from time to time they will be shifted, and then the fishes are growing. So in some sequence of 2-3 tanks, every time the type of the nutrient changing, hormones changing. And then ultimately again, when they are ready, completely grown, and they will be marketed. So that is the basic concept. What is the difference between capture fishery if it is done in the natural habitat? Capture. If it is done in an artificial setup, almost simulating the water of the river and the lake and the pond, that is culture fishing. And then, what else you have to remember? The fish varieties. Now, when we talk about the fish varieties, are you aware the fish varieties? There is something known as the freshwater fishes. and there is something known as the marine saltwater fishes. Now, when we talk about the freshwater fishes, how do we identify? Are we able to identify freshwater fishes? Those of you are acquainted with fishes and all. Are we able to identify freshwater fishes from the marine fishes? Yes. Freshwater fishes will always have big scales on their body. Marine fishes will not have big scales on their body. Their skin would be rather smooth. And even if they have scales, the scales will be very soft, small, not distinctive. But if it is a lake river fish, they will have big scales on their body. Clear? So that's the first thing to understand. If it is a freshwater fish, the bones inside their body will be very hard, prominent, big. If it is a saltwater fish, they will also have bones because it is a fish, it should be having bones, but then the bones will be comparatively very soft. Some of you who are acquainted with fishes, if you talk about the bones of the pomfret, very soft. And if you talk about the bones of the rohu and the cutla, very hard. So when we are talking about a major identifying feature, are we able to identify the freshwater fish from the marine fishes? Yes, by looking at them. Easily we can identify which one is a freshwater, which one is a marine fish. So now that we are talking about the types of fisheries, so the basic words to write are inland fisheries. Inland fisheries means freshwater fishes. Freshwater fish. See, some examples are there. You'll have to mark those examples. Rohu, katla, mrigal, these are all freshwater. Big fishes. Then we talk about the mackerel and the tuna and the sardines. These are all marine fishes. Okay? The mackerel, the tuna, the sardine, these are all marine fishes. So these marine fishes, they are also quite a number of them. They are huge, big fishes. But the characteristics that I told you, no big scales on their body. And they will generally have a smoother body, but they may be smaller, bigger in size. Okay. Now, look into the next part, inland fisheries. So that is what we have discussed just now. Okay, look into economic value. Okay, what is the economic importance of fishes? Generally, if at all you can tell me. What is the economic importance of fishes? A source of food, definitely. Apart from that?
Trading.
That is for food. Trading one state to another, one country to another for food. But apart from food, also does fishes have a lot of other economic importance? Medicinal. Fish oil. Fish oil, very good in certain type of good quality fats. And that's the reason this fish oil is processed and different type of medicines are made up of it. Fish oil processed, and this becomes an important ingredient in many different type of cosmetics also. At the same time, these are also processed to form certain type of medicines which can cure digestive problems, etc. So there are so many different other economic importance also of fishes apart from just consuming as food. Then let us now talk about some important words. Mariculture. See, there are some words: mariculture, aquaculture. Mariculture, aquaculture. Now, what is the difference? Aquaculture and mariculture. If the scientific breeding, caring, feeding of some aquatic organisms are done, then that is what is called aquaculture. Where I will talk about the scientific method of breeding, caring, feeding of fishes, crabs, lobsters. Then that becomes aquaculture. Then what is mariculture? I am talking about the breeding, caring, feeding of only the fishes or the organisms in the marine water bodies, then that is mariculture. But if it is aquaculture, any type of fish in the river, lake, pond, sea, or it can be the crabs and the lobsters, it can be the smaller shrimps, it can be any other type of economic important aquatic organism. So if it is the entire process of scientific management of any type of an aquatic organism, aquaculture. Only for the fish, only for the sea, ocean, mariculture. Now, here we talk about the different, now two types of fish culture, that is what we are studying. This will have to be very clear. The first type of fish culture that we are talking about is the composite fish culture. See there. Composite fish culture. Go to the next one. We are talking about two types, composite and integrated. Okay. So that is important here to understand. We are talking about one type of fish culture that is known as integrated. Integrated fish culture, and the second is composite. Now, what is the difference? Integrated and composite fish culture, the difference is, if it is integrated fish culture, certain type of fishes are grown along with plants. Something like, if I'm talking about integrated fish culture, it would be something like this, that I talk about land. Now here, okay, now this entire land is waterlogged. Why is it waterlogged? Because certain type of plants are grown, like the rice and all, the rice paddy. This type of plants are grown, so generally the soil has to be waterlogged. Rice and all, when they are grown, at least knee level water above the land is a must. So that much of the water the land should be having, so that much of water logging the land should be having, so that these plants grow healthy and fresh. But then a small area will be now selected. A small area is now selected because this much, so much of water is there, and this much of water, almost about 2 feet of water, 2.5 feet of water, is enough for the growth of certain type of small fishes. So here the plants are grown, maybe I talk about rice, and here some specific type of fishes are grown. Some small carps, some small type of freshwater fishes are grown. You cannot grow seawater fishes here. Some freshwater fishes are grown, and then here some rice, paddy, etc. are grown. So in the rice fields at one particular section, some fishes are grown. This is what the practice is, integrated. Okay. Then what about composite fish culture? In case of composite, a number of them. So in the composite fish culture, what is there? A tank, an artificial tank is there. I already talked about that. If it is fish culture, what type of fish culture is it where an artificial setup like the lake and the pond and etc. is made and the fishes are grown? That is known as culture fishery. Culture fishery. So now it is a type of a culture fishery where in this entire water body, this is a lake or a pond-like situation which has been made. It's an artificial tank. It's an artificial setup. Now, in this artificial setup, if it is a concept of a composite fish culture, what is done? In this entire in this entire tank, 4 different types of fishes are grown. 4 different types of fishes are grown. Is it so easy to grow 4 different types of fishes in the same tank? Difficult. But is it actually happening? Yes. The lack of availability of space and etc. So when we are talking about that, if this is what they are doing, composite, then what are some of the precautions to take? Whenever the fish breeder is deciding that I'm going to grow 4 types of fishes in the same tank, number 1, the first precaution is he has to select fishes of different types. That is, fishes should be, he has to select the fishes in such a way that all of them should not be of the same size. Otherwise, there will be so much of overcrowding when they start growing. Meaning some should be small fishes, some should be a bit bigger, like that. Number 2, these 4 types has to be chosen in such a way that none of them are a predator of the other. Third, the third parameter that has to be selected is that all of them should not be surviving at the same level of the water body. Something like, if I talk about a river, I talk about an ocean. Is it that the fishes are all on the surface of the water body? No, at different level of the water body. I talk about X, the deeper layers. I talk about Y, middle layers. I talk about Z, superficial layers. So for fishes, in one particular sea, there must be almost 500 types of fishes growing, but all of them are not at the same level of the water body. Some 100, 150 going at the bottom, some growing in the middle zone, some growing in the... So that way the names are also there. So here the breeder tries making a artificial pond or a lake, a tank, big tank, where he tries to grow 4 types of fishes, believing, but taking proper precaution that none of them predator of each other. They are surviving in different layers of the water body. An adequate amount of nutrient is given so that the 4 types can utilize all the nutrient from the water. All these 4 need not be of the same size. Some should be smaller fishes, some should be bigger, but still they should not be predator of each other. So all these are. And in a period of some 6-7 months, what is the benefit the farmer enjoys? He gets a production of 4 types of fishes. Even if in the water body some fungal infection must have happened. Fungal infection must have happened. Maybe this fungal infection would have destroyed these type of fishes, but still he has got another 3 types to grow, to market. If some viral infection has happened, viruses, they will not infect all the types of fishes. Maybe one type is gone, but still he has something more to market. So now that we are talking about what is the concept of composite fish culture, and some examples are also there. See, at one particular time, the vetki and the mrigal and the rohu and the katla and the anavas can be grown together. Benefits are what? You are asked to write down. What are the benefits? Benefits are, in a short period of time, he is able to market 4 different types of fishes. Even if there is a infection, all his production is not gone. Can you tell me what was a method similar like this you had come across in crop production?
Mixed farming.
Mixed farming. So mixed farming, there was so much of benefit, almost same like this. The farmer is growing 4-5 types of crops, but taking care that one should not be a predator crop of the other, and etc., etc. All of them should not be of the same height. So those also were the precautions. So same here like this. We'll just take 2 minutes. After that, I'll give you one break. Now, disadvantage, see there. Then what is the composite culture? The disadvantage is the most of the important disadvantage majorly for our country is that the fishes in our country grow maximum in monsoon. Whatever type of indigenous fishes in our country, maximum they grow in the monsoon time. All of you are aware. Monsoon time is the time when the fishes breed and grow maximum. But for all other countries, it is not the same. But for India, monsoon time is the only time where the fishes grow maximum. So every time maintaining this becomes difficult also for the breeder. See there, what is the disadvantage? One problem with such composite fish culture is that many of these fishes breed only during the monsoon. Underline the sentence to answer your question based on this concept. So most of them, they are growing during the monsoon. So the production is maximum in this 4-5 months. And after that, that's the reason during the monsoon months, the cost, the price becomes comparatively lesser. And again, in the winter months, the price goes high. The dry season price goes high. What is the remedy then? But fishes, we are saying that production is maximum during the monsoon. Yes, I would say that during the monsoon time, we get plenty of fishes in the market. Price also much less. Why price is less? Because production is so much. But in the winter months, whenever we are talking about coastal areas, consumption of fish is all over, all throughout the year. But in the month of April also, people would love to consume fishes. In the month of December also, in the month of June also. Then what to do? How would the fish farmer continue producing the fishes? Using some chemical substances. What are those chemical substances? These are actually hormones. These are actually hormones which are injected into the adult fishes. The adult female fishes will be now injected with these hormones, so that they produce large number of eggs, and then the eggs will be nurtured to give rise to plenty of fishes there. The last after, now this remedy, you will just underline this to remember the names and all are not there in your portion, but only that breed, the name of the hormone, hormonal stimulation only is given. The name of the hormone is not given in your book. Only that hormonal stimulation is given, only that is mentioned. The name of the hormones are not necessary for you. Take a break. After the break, we'll discuss a little bit about the concept of beekeeping only. It's a small concept, beekeeping. Then we will try a few questions from the set of questions here.